Some names and locations have been changed for safety, but everything I'm about to say, I lived through it. My name is Sibusiso Makize. I was born in Mpumalanga, not far from Bushbook Ridge, in a settlement where tradition and Christianity lived side by side, but never truly in peace. In my community, we did not ask questions about certain things. If a child started seeing shadows, it was called a calling. If someone fell sick without reason, elders whispered about ancestral displeasure. If a man became wealthy too fast, nobody asked how, they just respected him. And when someone's life suddenly collapsed after a relationship, we said he chose the wrong woman. But we knew it was deeper than that. I learned early that sex is not just physical, it is spiritual currency. And when used wrongly, it opens doors that are very hard to close. I was 19 when the dreams started. I would see myself standing in shallow water, naked, while figures stood behind me, whispering names I didn't recognize. I would wake up exhausted, my body hot, my chest tight. My mother took me to a clinic. They said nothing was wrong. But an old man in our area, Baba Labeni, saw me one afternoon and said quietly, "The spirits are calling you. If you ignore them, they will break you." That was how I was taken to a training homestead near Akon Hook, hidden between bush and gravel roads. That is where I learned the truth most people never hear. Sex is one of the easiest ways to enter a person's life spiritually, not because of pleasure, but because sex creates permission. We were taught three things very clearly. One, sex joins more than bodies. Two, the weaker person absorbs more. Three, emotion creates access. I was shocked at first. I thought witchcraft was about herbs, bones, rituals. But they told me, those are tools. Sex is the door. During training, we were shown how people carry spiritual residue from sexual encounters. Dreams change, emotions shift, confidence drops, focus disappears, attachment forms. And once attachment forms, influence becomes easy. My first assignment, the one that changed me, happened in Tembisa, near Johannesburg. A woman named Nomvula was brought to us. She was successful, beautiful, single, spiritually active in church. A businessman wanted her weakened, not dead, just distracted. The instruction was simple: enter her life through intimacy. I did not understand how at first, but I was told to approach her normally. No charms, no rituals, just conversation, interest, listening. We met at a friend's gathering. We talked, we laughed. Within weeks, she trusted me. When we eventually slept together, Nothing strange happened. No chanting, no blood, no ritual, just sex. But that night, something shifted. She became emotionally attached almost immediately, started dreaming of me, calling constantly, becoming anxious when I was not around. I was taught to observe, not intervene. Within 2 months, her prayer life stopped. Her business slowed. She became emotionally unstable. She began having sexual dreams, even when alone. I did nothing else. That was when I understood the door had opened. Sex does three dangerous things. One, it lowers spiritual defense. Two, it creates emotional attachment. Three, it allows transfer of influence, especially when one person is emotionally stronger, one person is spiritually active, one person carries unresolved trauma. You don't need rituals when access is granted willingly. That is why some people feel drained after sex, confused, emotionally bonded too quickly, unable to let go, spiritually dull afterward. They think it is love. Sometimes it is not. In Soweto, a young man came to us complaining that his life had collapsed after sleeping with a woman he met at a club. He said he lost motivation. His dreams stopped. His finances dried up. He felt empty. The elders told him the truth. You slept with someone carrying another person's body. He cried. He asked how to fix it. They told him it would take time and money. I watched him leave broken. That night I couldn't sleep because I knew something most people don't. Not every sexual encounter is mutual spiritually. Sometimes one person takes, the other loses. After years of involvement, I started noticing patterns. Women became attached too easily. Some became obsessed. Others became depressed. Some had recurring dreams of me, and I felt nothing. That scared me. I realized I was becoming numb. And numbness is dangerous because when you stop feeling guilt, you stop seeing people as human. The turning point came in 2017 after a woman collapsed during a cleansing ritual. She kept saying one thing over and over. He came through my body. I knew what she meant. I knew exactly. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing faces. I felt watched. That was when I understood. I wasn't controlling anything. I was being used to. I am not proud of this. I don't tell this story to impress anyone. I tell it because people need to know. Sex is not neutral. Intimacy is not casual. Not every connection is safe. And once a door is open, closing it is not too easy. There are things I saw that I wish I could forget, not because they were dramatic, but because they were quiet, subtle, and easy to miss. People think spiritual attacks look violent. They don't. Most of the time, they look like relationships. How we identified who was vulnerable. We didn't look for weak people, we looked for open people. There is a difference. The most vulnerable were usually emotionally lonely, recently heartbroken, spiritually curious, very affectionate, or deeply kind. People who loved deeply, people who trusted easily, people who wanted connection. Those were the easiest to enter through intimacy, not because they were foolish, but because they were open hearted. And openness without discernment is a door. The lie most people believe is that sex only affects the body. What really happens is emotions mix, attachments form, boundaries blur, influence transfers. After intimacy, something lingers. That is why people say things like, I don't feel like myself anymore. I can't stop thinking about them. Something changed after we slept together. I feel drained. They are not imagining it. There is a case that still troubles me, the case of Lerato in Pretoria. Lerato was a law student, focused, disciplined, strong willed. She met a man through mutual friends. He was charming, calm, quiet. They dated briefly. When they slept together, nothing seemed strange. But after that night, she stopped attending classes. Her motivation disappeared. She began dreaming of water and shadows. She became emotionally dependent on him. He left shortly after. She came to us later, confused and exhausted. The elder said something I will never forget. He didn't take her body, he took her momentum. That sentence stayed with me. Some connections don't destroy you immediately, they slowly drain direction. Why some people can't move is this: some people cannot move on. Have you ever noticed how some people can't forget an ex, keep dreaming of them, feel stuck years later, compare everyone to them? Sometimes it is emotional, but sometimes it is deeper because intimacy creates spiritual familiarity. When that bond is not cleanly broken, something remains. That is why new relationships fail. Trust becomes difficult. Peace disappears. Desire becomes distorted. And people think it's just heartbreak. It isn't always. There were cases where intimacy was used intentionally, not violently, not forcefully, but strategically. Someone would be sent to seduce, attach, weaken, distract, not to destroy immediately, just to shift direction. Once direction changes, everything else follows. I saw pastors lose focus, business people make reckless decisions, students drop out, families break apart. and no one suspected sex was the doorway. What happens after the door opens? Confusion, emotional exhaustion, loss of spiritual appetite, strange dreams, repeated relationship failure, feeling not like yourself. People try therapy, they try distractions, they try new relationships, but the heaviness remains. Because the issue is not the mind, it is the attachment. I didn't leave because I became holy. I left because I became afraid. I saw too many lives altered quietly. No explosions, no drama, just slow decay. And I realized something frightening. The most dangerous doors don't look like doors. They look like affection, like desire, like connection, like love. I am not saying sex is evil. I am saying it is powerful, and power must be handled carefully. If you ever felt different after intimacy, if you have ever felt drained without knowing why, if you have ever felt stuck emotionally after someone left, you are not crazy and you are not alone. There are things I wish I had known before I ever touched another person with intention. Because some doors don't close just because you walk away. After everything I had seen, I started paying attention to what happened after people tried to move on. Not immediately, but months later, years later. That is when the real effects show themselves. Most people believe that once a relationship ends, everything ends with it. That is not always true. I notice patterns in people who came seeking help. They will say things like, I feel stuck, but I don't know why. I can't love the same anymore. Every relationship ends the same way. I feel like something left me empty. They weren't cursed. They weren't possessed. They were disconnected from themselves. And that disconnection usually began with intimacy that happened too quickly, too deeply, or without clarity. The story of Welitu still stays with me. Welitu was a man in his early 30s, quiet, hardworking, not spiritual at all. He came because he felt numb, no motivation, no drive, no desire. He told me he had been in a relationship with a woman he met while traveling for work. Short, intense, passionate. After it ended, nothing felt right. He said something that struck me. It feels like I left something with her, or she took something from me. That sentence stayed with me. He wasn't dramatic. He wasn't afraid. He was empty. And emptiness is often the clearest sign something was taken emotionally. I learned something about healing. Healing did not happen through rituals. It didn't come from fear. It came from awareness and grounding. The people who recovered were the ones who slowed down, stopped chasing new connections, faced their emotions honestly, took time to rebuild their sense of self, learned to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. The ones who suffered longest were the ones who jumped into new relationships quickly, used sex to numb pain, avoided being alone, refused to reflect. Connection without clarity only creates more confusion. I want to say this carefully. Some people don't return to who they were before. Some people don't return to who they were before. Not because they are broken, but because they are chained. Every deep emotional bond leaves an imprint. That doesn't mean damage, it means memory. And memory shapes how we love, trust, and open ourselves. The danger is not in change. The danger is not understanding what changed. The mistake most people make is they rush to forget, they rush to replace, they rush to feel something again. But healing doesn't come from replacement, it comes from stillness, from understanding what happened, from forgiving yourself, from letting go without bitterness. That is something no ritual can do for you. I left because I realized something. I had been teaching people how to open doors, but not how to close them. And leaving doors open invites chaos. I walked away because I no longer wanted to be responsible for what followed people into their lives. I didn't become perfect. I didn't suddenly become pure. I became aware, and awareness changes everything. If you take nothing else from this story, take this. Intimacy is powerful. Emotional connection shapes people deeply. Not every connection is meant to last, and not every door should be opened quickly. You don't need to fear relationships, but you should respect them. Because when you connect with someone deeply, you don't just meet their body, you meet their history, their wounds, and their influence. And that stays longer than most people realize. Some doors open quietly, but closing them requires understanding.